You may remember, if you've been following this series in PostScript, that I've talked about the fact that there's two tracks, that there's one about freedom and there's one about control. And the way that the controllers essentially control you over on this technocracy track is that they control the information that you have available to you, because you are necessarily, each one of us is focused on the things that we know about, that we have to deal with, and there is so much more going on, and it's so more complicated. And if you can control the information, then you can control the people in the way they go. The other track, of course, is one of freedom and sovereignty and this ability to kind of operate on your own and make your own kind of decisions. But you can only make those kinds of decisions and make them well if you have some sense of the whole system and how it works, or at least a set of sources that are not going to control your point of view. This is really quite important, because as you go into the space, the kind of behaviors within this complex system become increasingly kind of disruptive. I mean, if you just think about radical new things in energy, or disclosure of alien life, or you have a rapid climate change and it all gets cold, or just a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of these kinds of things that are highly disruptive. I could call them wild cards. I wrote a book about it. Big surprises that show up that you really didn't see coming, or they're so big that you may have seen them coming, but there's not much you can do about it. So what you need to do going into the space is start to open up and see the world and become increasingly knowledgeable, and certainly look for an expanded network of sources that will allow you to become exposed to different points of view, so that you can see how this whole system might behave. Because the system, one thing, nothing, no one thing ever happens. When something happens, it affects something else, and you get chain reactions. There's a variety of ways in which an event plays itself out through a complex system. But the fact of the matter is that the folks in geopolitics and in the military and other thing in the intelligence community never figured this out, because they all think that you can go overthrow some government like Gaddafi and you can solve your problem. But all you do is generate a secondary and a tertiary set of problems that nobody ever thought about, or they discounted them if they did. You can't do that going forward into the space where we're going to go. If you're going to try to be part of building a new world, you're going to have to start to think of it more very broadly and comprehensively in this systemic kinds of terms. And that's because it's the new system that you're going to try to build and that you're going to develop. And you have to know about education and energy and transportation and government and child rearing, health, all of this kind of stuff is all placed together. And it doesn't mean everybody has to know everything, but you've got to get to the place where you've got a broader sense of what is going on, and we need increasing numbers of sources and people who start to see the world in these broader kind of terms, because this whole thing is going in a new direction. I mean, it's breaking up into two big kind of tracks, but I'm here to tell you that even in the best of worlds, the one going up toward the track of sovereignty and freedom, what you've got is big changes that are really dramatic. And if you don't see in the context, if you don't understand the bigger kind of picture and have some kind of basis for that, you get yourself surprised, and surprise always generates fear because by definition that's what it is. Something happened that you didn't think about. You don't have a methodology or a mechanism for effectively dealing with it, and so it drives you into fear. And the whole purpose of this whole process that we're trying to work our way through is to kind of operate without fear, operate in a space where there is no, where we don't generate any fear because we see ourselves and we see the environment that we operate in a different kind of way. Part of that is understanding that it's a big system and that it's not narrow about one thing or even a couple of things. It's not one presidential candidate. It's not one, it's very simplistic to make kind of narrow decisions about either people or processes or other kinds of things without not only thinking about it in terms of how it's going to affect more broadly in the short term, but also downstream. There's all kinds of implications analysis, ways in which you can start to say, well, if this thing happens downstream, then what are the networks, the first order, the second order, the third order kind of implications? How does it change the different ways in which we live and how ways people are going to respond to it? And so this is a really different kind of way of thinking for most people because most people kind of operate kind of linearly and go down the track and do what they're supposed to, what they're being told to do, and watch television, drink beer, or whatever it is. And what we're about here, what this is all about, is to get engaged in a much more substantial way into this larger environment, and to help influence and shape it. And you have to do that. You have to see it from a systems point of view. So thanks for being around, and click on the like thing or what other kind of ways in which to indicate that you like what we're doing here. And by the way, if you're new at this and you want to be alerted about future kind of episodes as we produce these segments, just click on the link down below and drop us your email address. We'll take good care. We won't give it to anybody or anything like that. And that'll allow us to make you aware, to give you an announcement and an alert that a new episode is coming. So thanks. See you.